Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 26th of January, comes to you from London. And we start, as always, looking at the dollar. A really bad week for the dollar here. We're seeing the weekly candle there just taking us to new lows. On the 60-minute chart, we're seeing a little bit of a recovery at the end of yesterday, but we're falling away again this morning. So it's still pretty bearish outlook for the US dollar, which is having a big impact on a lot of areas. Euro, of course, looking stronger as a result. We did get above 125 on euro dollar yesterday. That's the first time we've done that in several years. So that was quite significant. We've activated this clear upside target now to 158. It really does look like euro strong, dollar weak. And the Japanese yen, we're seeing the dollar falling away here, so that weaker dollar having an effect all round. Against sterling, we'd been touching this 142 level. We've had a target here to 145 that was given back at 138, so we are pushing towards that target. But of course, there is a shortage of upside targets on the longer term charts. They take time to build, and interestingly, none of these are really thrust columns off a low. So we're struggling to get a clear upside target based on the point and figure charts. If we look at the euro sterling chart, we're still bearish here on the long term below the cloud, but we are of course seeing here new upside targets. We've got a triple top breakout here to 125 against the euro. So it'll be interesting to see that play out. The long-term chart still looks quite bearish. Against the Swiss franc, sterling fell away quite heavily in the end yesterday. So we're back to bearish short-term territory there. Swiss franc benefiting a little bit from that weaker dollar, seen as a safe haven. And the Australian dollar, also we're just seeing against sterling that rise continuing with sterling nudging 177 yesterday. Bitcoin falling away again this morning. We're down 5%. That's a fairly standard move on the day for Bitcoin with the volatility that we've seen. We're just turning back into bearish territory here. The chart is actually in a short-term downtrend here. We see that trend from the top. 10,000 is a very psychologically important level on Bitcoin. We got support there a couple of days ago at around the 10,000 mark. So that's the key to watch. If we spend any time below 10,000, then we're heading back to these sort of targets that we've seen about 7,500. The S&P 500 index still holding its strength. Down slightly yesterday, but overall it's still looking strong. And we're seeing the Nasdaq also just a bit flat the last couple of days, but overall holding its strength. And the Dow, much the same picture, of course, as we push higher. And the Russell 2000 also looking pretty strong as we march up the hill here. The S&P future up slightly this morning. The Nasdaq E-mini up 1/3%, so that the rise continues. Looks like we'll open higher in tech in the US today. FTSE 100 is having an up day this morning, first in a while. We've had quite a fall away in the FTSE 100 with that stronger sterling level. UK blue chips companies affected quite heavily by the exchange rate. And the FTSE 250, much the same picture we're seeing falling away, and a shortage of clear upside targets. So the UK stock market's still pretty much in the doldrums. The DAX falling back a little bit this morning, just struggling to really break this 13,500 level convincingly. And the Nikkei, also that stronger yen, just having a little bit of an impact there, down slightly overnight. The Hang Seng market, the Hong Kong market, still looking very strong. Just a relentless rise here over the last several weeks. And the Chinese local market, Shanghai, also looking pretty strong, breaking to new 2-3 year highs. Indian market closed for their Republic Day, so no action there on the Sensex. And the Aussie market closed for Australia Day. So two markets there closed, so no prices there today. Brent crude is holding on to this $70 level now. So it's quite interesting that we are still just bullish on all three time frames. We've got targets now into the high 70s on the medium-term chart. So it does look like Brent will continue its run, and of course this is the strong time of year for Brent. So looks like we're going considerably higher, and the same with WTI. Looking bullish on all three time frames. US natgas holding on to its gains, sitting at $3.50. A few weeks ago, $3.50 would have been an unbelievable price, but we've really broken out in the US natgas, and we're really seeing two-year highs here, or certainly 15-month highs. So $4 is obviously the level to play for here. And we've got targets of 419, 4 to 14, so it does look like that's possible. Copper looking stronger, bullish above the cloud. Heating oil also looking strong in line with the US dollar and oil market. Seeing here coffee looking a bit stronger short term. Cocoa also looking a little bit stronger short term. Cotton weakening on the short term chart, but still strong medium and long term. Sugar still in the doldrums and bearish on all three time frames. Wheat just starting to recover a little bit here. Good on the short term chart, and the medium term chart just coming through, and the long term doesn't have too much to do. We haven't yet activated this upside target on wheat. There's a couple of upside targets there to be activated. We've got some good short term upside targets. So soft commodities starting to look a little bit better. Soybeans looking better. Of course, beneficiaries of that lower dollar, and corn prices also rising. Gold had a really big day yesterday and then fell away. So we were seeing this run that we saw at the start of the week just coming off. We've come right back to the cloud support on the 60-minute chart. So it does look like we're going higher. And interestingly, we haven't locked any of these, locked this column yet, but this is activating these upside targets, and the downside target that we had on this long-term chart has now been negated. So this is very, very strong indeed. We're still not quite through this resistance level at around 1360, 1370, but gold is looking like it's breaking out on the long term, and that's looking good. Bullish on all three time frames, and of course we're at a strong time of year, so we've probably got further to run. Silver also looking strong on the short and medium term charts. The longer term charts have still got some work to do. Taking a look at US Treasury yields sitting at this 2.62% level, and we're seeing here that we're just below there on the cloud, so just maybe seeing a little bit of a sell-off there. Apple selling off quite significantly on the short-term chart, so this is one of the weaker looking tech stocks. Google still looking strong, Amazon still looking strong, Facebook also looking strong but just struggling to break this 190 level, and Microsoft continuing its march up the hill as well. That's it for today. Until Monday, have a great weekend, happy charting, see you then.